once more. Unless anything catastrophic has happened in the last 24 hours, she's still currently working as a developer relations engineer at Google. And today I'd say she's brought us a topic, which is one of those things, regardless of whether or not you're an AI coding skeptic or enthusiast, it's probably going to be a very healthy thing to keep an eye on. Just in case you can sort of hear the footsteps of Gen Z and Gen Alpha behind you with all of their vibe coding. So with the title, A Gopher's Guide to Vibe Coding, please welcome to the stage, Daniela Petruzalek.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming to see me again at this conference. Wow, this light is so bright. I usually like looking at the audience, but this light makes it very difficult. So just first of all, thanks for everyone for coming, because I know it's parallel tracks is really difficult, and competing with Bill Kennedy is my worst nightmare. So I appreciate a lot you coming here. This is kind of I'm going to try to be gentle with people watching this later on video. So you're going to see maybe a couple slides you saw yesterday. So this is kind of a direct sequel of the previous talk. But at the same point, it's a different angle. Like yesterday, I was talking about MCPs. This is and what they are, how you write them. This is more like, yeah, how you vibe code, how do you use them. So it's a different process. Pretend you don't know me, so I'm introducing myself again for the video. I'm a developer relations engineer at Google. I'm originally from Brazil, live in the UK since 2019. Been doing Go since around 2017, on and off, not usually as my day job, not all times as my day job, but I've been keeping close touch with the community since then. And today, if you ever saw one of my talks, especially, yeah, probably you saw yesterday, I always like to start with the definition, just to make sure everyone is in the same page. So we're going to introduce what is live coding, what's vibe coding, talk about different kinds of coding assistants we have. Then I'm going to speak a little bit about how I am adopting this as part of my workflow. This is a common question I have, like people come to conference, like to the Google booth, and ask, oh yeah, this Gemini is CLI thing, but oh, this is pretty cool, but how do you actually use it, right? So how do you incorporate this in your day-to-day? I'm going to try to answer this question with my very opinionated view. And then we're going to have a few live demos. This is my second shot at making things right. This time we have more time. I don't plan to use the whole hour, but I mean, it will be more than 2 minutes. So hopefully we'll get something working at the end of the day. And see some practical tips and, yeah, talk about the future. So starting with definitions, this concept probably existed longer than that, but you can see this is a tweet from February 2nd this year. But it's often referred to as the first time the term vibe coding was used in this context. It was a tweet by Andrei Karpathy. Hopefully I'm not butchering his name. But he talks about the idea of writing code, you're not writing code, but talking with LLMs and say, oh, do this for me. And you blindly trust in the LLM and say, no, okay, I trust you. Copy and paste, or compile the code, run, oh, I got an error, paste back to the chat and say, oh, this is the error, do something. Not even adding any lines, just error straight away. And rinse and repeat. I don't think this is the thing that most people mean when they're talking about vibe coding, even though this is how it started. I believe that nowadays the term is evolving to something more like this. It's like a coding approach that relies on LLMs to generate working code by providing natural language rather than manually writing. So it's more like, okay, if the LLM wrote 90% of your code and you're just tweaking it, I personally consider this to be vibe coding, and I think most people are adopting this view. Some people will strongly disagree with that and say, oh, no. If you had to sit down, review, test, analyze, and do a proper code review, this is not vibe coding anymore. Some people say that, but I think, maybe that's fine from amateur, but we are professionals. So you cannot ship a code in your name. It doesn't really matter which tool you're using. without a minimal guarantees and reviewing, like you're betting your job on that thing. So today, at least maybe the technology will evolve, and this is evolving very fast. Today, you should not 100% trust what LLM code write. You need to be in the loop. You need to be reviewing, right? So the term vibe coding is more catchy than saying this is code generated by LLM, revealed by me. So definitely, vibe coding, I think, is gaining traction, but with this intent of it's not something it's completely hands-off. In terms of coding assistance, we have all sorts of coding assistants, from the more traditional one that has been here for quite a long time, like code completion. First was just like a algorithm thing, and now we have code completion by AI. Like that's how GitHub Copilot started. We have this contextual chat, like some IDEs like VS Code, you have the chat window, you talk with LLM, it kind of already starts to interact with the code in the other window. But then the more we progress to the right side, the more, I would say, AI native becomes. Like this, now we have seen the emergence of these coding agents, Cloud Code, Gemini CLI. We have now Grok CLI. We have all sorts of CLIs. Aider is an open source alternative. And to the extreme is the fully autonomous experience. Like you don't even, practically you don't even see the code. You just say, oh, agent, do this for me. And you turn your back and go do something else. And here we have like Jules, Devin AI, and now GitHub has the Copilot agent as well. So we have all sorts of new technologies coming up. I'm going to focus on those two because I think they're the most interesting ones. The first two, they feel like more retrofitting old tech to be AI enabled. These ones are the new things that are emerging now. So I think they're a bit more interesting. And of course, we have some challenges when using those tools. Like, oh yeah, LLMs, they're non-deterministic by nature. We saw this yesterday, tried to generate something with a prompt I knew kind of worked. It didn't, like not in the first try, at least. And this is something we need to be mindful. Like the exact same prompt run twice can produce completely different results. They will choose different code paths, choose different implementation, different things. The code generated by the LLMs is mostly not great. Sometimes it is. This probably has something to do with the training data they use. Like now with the reasoning models, this is getting better. But if you think that AIs are trained by volume of text, and the volume of hello worlds you have out there are much larger than the volume of full-fledged systems. So it's natural that it won't be great first, but there are ways to improve this. Which touches the next point, like prototypes are in full system are different beasts. You don't have your corporate system, entire corporation system, open source for an AI to train on it. So this is very rare. Of course, model outputs will get better as soon as they get better at reasoning and like reading. Oh, the theory is that now I need to be able to abstract this and apply it to my knowledge. But we're not there yet. Coding environments, again, we're retrofitting old tech to work with the new things, but now newer things are getting, so this has the tendency of improve over time. Code correctness does what's supposed to do. How often you see, oh, implement this for me, and the AI do like something like / to do, to implement, and return something. You say, no, I want you to do it, not me. No, don't tell me to do, I told you. Like reverse kind of card. And ensuring code quality and maintainability. So yeah, vibe coding, this is my experience. Like I've been doing this for the total amount of 4 months, so not a lot, so I'm still learning experience. But for me, it has been both amazing and infuriating in equal parts, but maybe it's like more leaning towards infuriating. But how can we make it better, right? Who knows what this cycle is? Who is familiar with it? I think most people, if you did some testing, like this is the famous TDD cycle, right? And I really am a huge fan of TDD. I don't do TDD in the by the book way of writing the test first before you write any single implementation. But the idea is, yeah, you write a test, you write the code, and it will probably fail the first time. And as long as it's failing, you should not touch anything else. You should just focus on fixing that thing, because this keeps the scope small. And so you're not going to try to make it fast, not going to try to make it better. You're going to make the test pass. Green, OK, I made my working implementation. Now I'm free to do two things. I'm free to refactor and improve the test, improve the code and the test. Or I'm free to, maybe I don't have anything else to refactor, and I can move back to red by introducing a new feature or start continuing my work on something else. Why I'm bringing this here is because the way I see vibe coding is kind of TDD on steroids. Because you start with a small feature, you want the LLM to implement this, and this is the trap, because LLMs kind of help you spill code so fast that it's very easy to forget this. Oh, implement this for me, and then oh, it's working, nice. Now implement next thing, and you forgot the refactor and make good part. This will build up, and errors will be extrapolated so fast that you will eventually get something completely useless. And then I lost count of the times where I was screaming at an LLM and saying, no, undo that. The last one was better. And the model answered to me, oh, yes, I am a failure. I'm going to undo everything I did and git reset hard. And I said, no, I didn't commit everything yet. So be really careful with this. So get to green, get it to passing, and then improve it, and then commit it. And then you can turn it off and turn it on again and start a new task. This is kind of the thing. So we have a few techniques to improve response quality from models. Like I said, like the vanilla models, if you think like just, could be anyone, Gemini, ChatGPT, I don't know, all the cloud models. It's kind of, OK, they're good, they will write some code. But most of the time, they don't know like what's the newest SDK or some pattern, or they will not be super, because they are also generic. They need to be fair. They were trained on so much data, they can answer medicine questions and write some code. That's amazing. But when you need quality, this can be challenging. So there's a few things that we can do to improve that. One is we call prompt and / context engineering. Which is the idea, how do you manipulate the prompt? How do you manipulate the context so you steer the model to the right answer? If you were here yesterday at the keynote, I kind of was trying to deceive you guys into doing something. So let's tell the background. When I asked GoDoctor to say, read the documentation for this specific package, which was the external library for the Go SDK for MCP, I was already priming the context. So it knew that the next time I asked a question, I was referring to that specific package. And why did I do that? Because this package is new. Before, it probably was released after the model cutoff training date, so it knew nothing about it. Eventually, one of the mistakes I usually find is, it will try to import the wrong path, or you will need to do like a lot of Google searches to find what's the right import path, and so on. So context engineering really helps if you prime the context to the task you're doing, like by documentation, reference, and so on. There's also the concept of RAG, where you can retrieve from a database specific segments of text to augment your prompt. The second part is grounding, which is instead of just relying on the knowledge of the LLM and the prompt and the context itself, you add tools for it to be able to augment its own knowledge, and the LLM will decide to call these tools yes or no. It's not meant only to retrieve, but also perform actions. This is, yesterday I was playing, like MCP became the standard real quick. So for now, we still don't have 15 competing standards. So this is about how to deal with the quality of the response, but also how do you work with them, because you have so many tools. So I adapted this very simple framework that came from my agile consulting days. And basically, the idea is how do you prioritize work? I usually prioritize work in these 2 dimensions. One is called business value, is how important this is for my company. And the second is technical certainty, which is how sure I am that I know what needs to be done, right? If it's high business value and I know exactly I have high certainty of the steps needed to implement, this is top priority. Okay, I can start working on this now. On the other extreme, I don't know how to do it, and it's very low priority. This is kind of those things that appear on the, you start putting on the backlog and then keep getting forgotten, like go always to the bottom. They're typically the not doing part. And then the mixed ones is, okay, if it's high business value, I don't know yet how to do it. This needs research. This is the spike thing. You wanted to spike things to reduce uncertainty. And that's why you're researching, and then after you finish top priority, you're probably going to be on this side. And the bottom ones, high technical certainty, low business value, these are the nice to haves. Oh yeah, maybe we need to improve a doc here and there, or this feature that will make our life, I'll spend less 5 minutes per day doing something. Yeah, and you know how to do it, but there are other things that are more important. So how does this translate? I like to think in asynchronous and synchronous flows. Something that's synchronous is that I care it enough that I want to be in the loop all time, and I'm going to be hands-on keyboard doing that thing. So, and for this, here I'm putting Gemini CLI, but it could be any coding agent, could be your ID, could be VS Code in this case. If it's something that needs exploration, there are some very good research tools like deep research, like both Gemini deep research and OpenAI also has a similar thing. And I also will do some hands-on keyboard because I'm prototyping, I'm exploring, I'm reducing uncertainty, I'm spiking something. And async, like if it's a nice to have, I'll just delegate to one of those off-the-hands coding agents. And even in the low, I'm almost definitely not doing, but maybe, I don't know, I'm in the supermarket queue, I'm bored, I don't know what I have to do, I'll just open a coding agent on the browser and say, oh, do this for me because I remind, it might be good, like improve the log message, I don't know, something silly. But most of the time it's not doing. So I'm talking about Jules, not sure if everyone here heard about it before, so let me just show this. Jules is this coding agent, and the idea is you connect it to your GitHub, and you can basically, yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything super interesting in this page, but I just want you to see the face of it. Integrates with GitHub, it installs as an app, GitHub app, and you can start giving tasks to it. And you know, when I'm talking about async working, like what's the best thing I can do? Like I'm in a conference talk, and actually I want to do some real work. You know, this is the absolute peak of laziness. I'm not going to. I don't really care about this. This is actually real thing I need to do because I joined Google recently, and there's an open source policy, and we need to add some disclaimers on every single project we have. Oh, this is not a Google product, and accommodate some things. And here, what I did, this is kind of my prompt. To comply with the open source policy, I need to add a disclaimer on the README file, add some license headers, and run some installations. The thing is, Jules spin up a VM, and we'll do whatever you ask it to do here. And I'm just going to put a label here and say, oh, you know what? I don't care about this. Let Jules take over. And I'm moving on with my day. And actually, so I'm doing a talk, and I'm actually doing work. This is the async thing. I'm going to go back to see what kind of PR Jules will create later, but it will, maybe it's even already created something, I don't know. But it usually it's pretty fast to respond, so you see, but just the flip of a slide is already on it. So now it's booting up a VM, and it's going to try to do it in background. So let's move on. And just a reflection, anyone works in a team like this, or even worse, are you the ones that are writing these stories? What I'm really trying to do, like, oh, a story that only has a title, Or oh no, then your managers or tech lead starts nagging, or maybe the tech lead is doing this, I don't know. And he's, oh no, but you need to have a description. And the description is a slightly longer version of the title, so which is also not helpful. This for me is a huge pet peeve of mine. Come on, this is not helpful to anyone, because if you write something like this today, future you in 2 weeks' time, when you pick this up, will also not remember what you're trying to say. And if you're trying to work in a team, you want someone to, first, you have a log of work you're doing, and also you want to prepare the task for someone else picking up, like another engineer that doesn't rely on you. You can go out on vacation, you can move on with your life. You need to be more specific of what needs to be done. And that's why every time I go to a new team, I join. I know this is kind of small here, but I always propose a lightweight ticket template. Honestly, that kind of thing, as a software engineer, I want to, when, then. I also don't like that. I prefer a more lightweight, more straightforward approach to this. So this is a gist I have like for 7 years. Every single team I join, I show this to them. Okay, how do you structure a ticket? Put some context, put some references of what you're trying to do, what not to do, and acceptance criteria. Simple as that. No need to do BDD language, no need anything. It's just plain simple. And this will take you 3 minutes to write. It's not that hard. And the analogy I'm trying to do here is that good prompts, they will look very similar to this. You start with a task. Oh, I want to achieve X. Give some constraints, if you must. This SDK, this library, reference for the LLM to do some searching, some testing criteria to validate that it actually achieved the objective, and that's it. That's it. So it's very similar. And yeah, now we're finally at the point where I want to be. And of course, this might fail royally, but now we have more time. So what could go wrong again? This is the prompt where it's a slight variation of the one. Like I only changed here, the link for the README. I think I added here the difference is a link to the protocol, but this is typically more in line with what I would do in a daily basis. So let's see. Let's see if this works. So let's first fire up Gemini CLI. And so, yeah, for those, especially for those on video, I know everyone saw this yesterday. But this is the kind of coding agent I'm talking about. Here, you can type any prompt and the LLM will respond to the prompt. You can say, write me a code X or do something. But you can also type shell commands here. If you type the exclamation mark, the bang sign, I can just, to prove that this is empty, I can just type ls and it will show the contents of my folder. If I hit ask, I'm back to the other type of prompt with the, I don't know, how to say it, the less than, greater than sign. This is the prompt talk to the LLM. And I can say, oh, well, let's start simple. Write me hello world program in Go. And it will hopefully, it will take a while. So yeah, it has some failures because the LLM needs to learn how to deal with this environment first. And every time it tries to do something for the first time, it will ask for your permission. You can allow once or allow always. For writing things, I usually use allow always. For Git commands, for the sake of God, only use allow once, because this model has the terrible tendency of resetting things when it makes mistakes, and you don't really want to undo everything, every work, every single time it makes a mistake. Anyway, okay, I got some code, I got some hello. You might notice there's some formatting issues here that, well, where's the dot? But this is a visualization thing, it's not the code is there. And I can let's try to, yeah, this is, let's prep the context again, just like at the last time. So here's just asking documentation for net HTTP. What this is going to do is because I have the Go Doctor, my MCP server configured, it will ask for permission to run tools from the server. I can allow only once or only this tool or all tools from the server. So in this case, I'm allowing all tools. Let's get the documentation for my MCP library. Show me the documentation for this MCP. It failed because in this case, and it never did the go get for the library. But it's okay. It's okay. Let's actually. One of the things I got used to, I never actually type the command in the shell. I say like, oh, go get. I type as a prompt and make the LLM call it for me. So I typically do this. Okay, now you see, now it kind of self-corrected and was able to retrieve the documentation. So let's start with the prompt for the hello world. This is the exact same prompt from yesterday. A hello world MCP server. So here you cannot see the full prompt, but so let's just zoom in. So a little less. Your task is to create a hello world MCP server to expose like this hello world tool using the Go SDK and standard IO transport. So this is kind of the prep for the task at hand. I gave it a couple of references. This one, the problem we had yesterday is that the model didn't actually read the README. And sometimes, again, LLMs are non-deterministic. Sometimes they will skip things, and it's your job to remind it if it did skip. And I didn't notice that. Of course, I was worried about time and delivering the rest of the content. But if it had just read the example show how to do the wait in the of the HTTP server or the transport, so it doesn't kill the process immediately, and so on. Okay, let's type this and see how it goes. Come on, Gemini. You see, now it's parsed my request, and finally, WebFetch is the tool it used to, whenever you give an URL, it will try to read it and get the context. So this is finally obeying what I'm telling you. So it's saying, I'm going to read those README and the SDK repository to understand it. Cool. Let's leave it for a minute. I'm going to do the same mistake I did yesterday, which is not paying attention to what it's doing, but just for the sake of time. So because I want to bring your attention to this kind of thing. So there are 3 possible error modes you need to be aware of. One of them is fully recoverable. The LLM will recover on its own, which is, oh, it made a typo, it made an edit mistake. We're going to see this in a few minutes, probably quite a few of those. But okay, usually they typically recover. But there are some errors that you need to intervene. For example, it has a failing test, and it thinks it needs to fix the code and not the test. Or has a failing test and it tries to fix the test and not the code. Both things can happen, or it put like a to-do on your code. This is also very common. So if you're seeing hallucinations, wrong APIs being called, wrong SDK, intervene, course correct, and you'll be fine. But they might recover if you give time, but I'm not a patience person, so I will not try to wait that much. And full stop, if you see something like, oh, a refactor loop is, I'm using SDK A, I tried, I failed, you know what, I'm going to use SDK B. Then it tries and fails again and go back to A. This is horrible, and it will not break this loop on its own. And you're going to lose a lot of money if you're paying for your tokens. So be really careful. So that's why things like this, like if leaving alone, like, oh yeah, now it's finally creating the structure. Leaving it alone for a few minutes, maybe it might be fine, but if you're really invested in it, be very careful with this type of failure here, because it could cost you lots of money. So tips for successful experience, don't be afraid of interrupting it if you feel the need to do it. Encourage tool use. If you see it's struggling with SDK, say, hey, what about you read the docs for a change? And of course, the best one is, have you tried turning it off and on again? And why is this important? Because everything in IT is so like that. No. Because of context, something we call context degradation or context rot. The longer your session, the more messages you have in the chat, and the more failures it accumulates, more that failures might influence it to keep failing on the same things. So if you see that you're in a bad situation, like a bad session, most of the times the best thing to do is turn it off and turn it on again. Or sometimes you have like a /clear command that will clear the context. But before turning off, turning on again, there are some things I like to do. Let's just see if it's blocked. Oh no, it's already in testing phase. That's good. Let's see if this works first time. It made a wrong call. Is that it? Simple total returns a greeting. Reaction required. Yeah. Correct response to tool. Oh no, it did the list request. Okay, so this is actually working. So let's say, can you make a tool call with tools call method? Because you see the JSON RPC, the example I had here, and specifically to call the tools list method. But let's see if can call the actual hello world. Oh, it does work. It did work for the first time. You see, it was the exact same prompt as yesterday. This time worked. And this shows the non-deterministic nature of this kind of thing. Would I say that, of course, then we get to the second part. Is this code actually good? I haven't seen the code yet. We can probably explore here and see what it did. Oh, it created like a CMD folder. You can say, oh, show me the code for main.go. You can either play with this or you can open your IDE to inspect. But I'm kind of lazy, and I think there are so many low-hanging fruits in terms of code reviewing. It's taking quite a while to read a simple file. So I kind of let's skip that for a second, actually, because this is more interesting. So I created a prompt for me that is called code review. And this is kind of literally the same way you work with developers. Like as soon as I have something working, remember the TDD loop? The very first thing I want to do is a code review of that thing. And this is, I separate in a tool because I don't want my model who wrote the code to do the code review. I'm going to give it to a model with a blank state. It's the same version of the model, but different context. So I'll just say, oh, run a code review on the code you just wrote. And this kind of helps me filter out so many problems immediately, because the low-hanging fruit you get, it doesn't exempt you. Remember, you're still responsible for the code you write. Oh, didn't find anything. Oh, it's a standard hello. Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. Let me delete the main.go, because this is the main.go for the hello world. Like run a code review for the MCP server code. That's why it was a bit confused. Okay, now it's reading the right file, and you'll probably find lots of things. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Jules, because I kind of forgot we did that. It's kind of, oh, sorry, wrong link. Oh, here. Oh, you see, it was 10 minutes ago, so actually it took 3 minutes for it to generate the PR for me. And you can review and push the branch manually here. But yeah, it did create a, it didn't create a PR. Generate the code. Oh, it was not unable to push the branch to GitHub. Okay, it's asking me to review manually. I don't know exactly why it wasn't able to do the branch for me, the PR for me, but most of the times it's able to. But you can see here, let's just hide this. oh, this is a horrible visualization. It just added the headers I needed to add. So the license, here it added this. This is not an official Google support. So it did what I wanted, but it didn't go full-fledged to, but I can publish my branch here. And that part of the work is done. Most of the times it creates the PR automatically. I don't know exactly what happened now. But we can see the branch here anyway. And you can create the PR. OK, so let's see. Oh, this is surprising. The server code is well structured and follow the parameters that establish documentation. Clean and readable. I'm not sure if I trust you. Let's try opening a new browser window, because now I'm really curious about what kind of code it wrote. New tab. Oh, it's here already. It's usually not that good. It usually flags so many things. Where's my VS Code? OK, you're playing hard. So let's open folder. Oh, actually, it's this one. OK. So this is the code it generated. Yeah, maybe there isn't actually much to do here as well. Yeah, I'd say yeah. I actually kind of agree with it. There's nothing to be done here, which is surprising. But you see, this is the power of the workflow. You basically can start delegating these tasks. The most important thing is how you organize yourself around these tasks. Maybe we can give it the more complex prompt then. So because this was just the hello world prompt, and now I want, do we have a prompt for the Go Doctor? Let's say, now I want you to implement a tool to read the Go documentation for a package using the Go doc command. It should take 2 arguments, a package, and optionally a symbol name. Just to give it something to do. And we'll see. Anyway, let's see if we have anything else that we missed here. We spoke a little bit about this yesterday. I think everyone should be really trying to aim for writing their own MCPs. This is not only, I think it's a technology that's, I don't know, growing really fast, but also it's a fun thing to do. There's the MCP support for Go Please, which is, I have my own, this Go Doctor thing I'm creating, but I think as soon as Go Please gets mature, it will quickly replace it. That's why I use it like as a toy example. But the idea is to give LLMs tools to reason about code in better ways. This is the three ones here is if you want to play with LLMs using Go code. So there's the Google Gen AI SDK is mostly for Gemini. And I'm also listing the competitors SDK for a reason. We have the OpenAI Go library as well. And this is not a standard yet. I'm not sure if it will become one, but Google released like a Gemini OpenAI compatibility mode. So essentially, you can call Gemini with the same APIs that would you call OpenAI. It's a bit tricky to say those things. But it's a compatibility layer that you can call Gemini as if it were the OpenAI models, which is meant for, if you have that kind of code that's generic, that you can pick and choose different models, you can use this SDK. Again, it's not a standard yet, but you can use any of the OpenAI SDKs with Gemini, and that would also work. Some useful MCP servers. I mentioned some of this yesterday. Actually, all of them. Playwright for web development. It's very useful, front-end kind of thing. Context 7 is aggregator of documentation. So, and feeding documentation in the model is super important. So this might be very helpful. I haven't tested it myself yet, but it's on my to-do list. And the last two are the ones I wrote. This is about a code lab I wrote. If you want to try to do it yourself, the exact same thing I'm doing here on stage, you can, at the comfort of your home, there are all the prompts written in a much better way. And step by step, you can get from a hello world type of scenario to a full MCP server running on Cloud Run, so which HTTP, and you can play with it. So just waiting for the picture. And let's see. Oh, look how fun it is. Actually, it did what I asked to do. So here's the implementation. It starts with the params, has the handler. It is calling the go command. There is also, I'm cheating on this task as well with this following sense that I instructed it to use the godoc command. And I didn't tell you to use the actually standard library for godocs, because I tried this before, and believe me, it's much harder to do. Like there's some magic that exists in the godoc tool, the CLI tool, that is super hard to replicate with code alone. So I didn't want to re-implement, ask it to re-implement godoc. That's why I'm making it call like as external command. But actually, you see, it did the test. I'll test the new godoc, we request documentation for the format package. It seems to be working. And now I wanted something more complex, because I want, please do a code review of this implementation. Which is literally how I work on a day-to-day basis. So I ask it to do something, I do a code review. As soon as I confirm, I throw a bunch of more test cases at it and say, oh no, I confirm. Then I start preparing my commit and I start documenting things. Let's see if the code review comes quicker. By the way, while it's code review, like I can show you the code review prompt, which might be interesting. So this is the code review tool, which is kind of simple. To be honest, this is also AI generated, so I never carefully tuned this prompt. But let's see. Yeah. Everything here is just boilerplate to call the Gemini model. The really important part here is this system prompt, which says, oh, you're an expert Go code reviewer. Your sole purpose is to analyze Go code and provide feedback based on the best practice recognized is idiomatic by the Go community. And so analyze the code, identify areas that violate the principles, and then provide a JSON object with like a structured response. I think this is super important with line number, finding, and comment. And here I give an example, which is also a common practice to help it LLM to format things properly. And let's see if did finish. Oh, actually, so I'll perform the code review. So you found two things. Important error details are omitted from response. Okay, if combined output fails, and unreachable code. This log statement is unreachable, server run is blocking. So you see, you start finding like the low-hanging fruit you quickly can prune with this very simple, and I didn't fine-tune anything in terms of the code review tool itself, which is also a huge point for improvement. In this case, it was so trivial, it actually jumped and already fixed those things for me. You can run code review as many times as you want, which is also a fun thing to do, but sometimes it's diminishing returns. Sometimes you'll not find anything, or sometimes we'll maybe even try to undo something because of LLMs. But overall, it's pretty good. Like I run 1, 2, 3 times until I'm satisfied, and then I move on to the next task. And one of the things that I'm trying to improve is because the better you give the tool instructions to understand what good Go code is like, the better. So instead of me writing those instructions, I tell the LLM my curated list of resources and say, write a prompt for me. And this, if you use GoDoctor, I had this, everything is open source. If you go to the GoDoctor GitHub, Danicat GoDoctor, you'll see that prompt. And I exposed that prompt as, I will just cancel this code review for now, or not. Oh man. But I exposed this prompt as a prompt in the MCP server. So here it's my import this command, which basically allows you to, yeah, let's do this. Import this, which is a playful word, yeah. This, I was just playing with the Python Easter egg that if you type import this in Python, you get the Zen of Python. So I want something that was similar to this. And this will read all those documentation and provide some guidance for the agents. Here, I think I have one I generated before. And it's quite solid. Oh, the go away talks about clarity. Clear is better than clever. Simplicity. Concurrence is not parallelism. Everyone loves this phrase. So you see, this was generated by that prompt. So every time I want to add a new reference or something I think it's clever, I'll improve that prompt and I'll just / import this, have new guidelines I can feed into the code review tool later, which is also how you kind of create like a self-improvement flow. And the last thing I want to show you, so you see, it started doing the research. I'll not let this finish because it will take a while. The last thing I want to show you is what I call the reflect prompt, which is easier to see here. Most of the time I use this for writing sessions, but you can also use it for coding sessions. Similar thing. This one is more focused on writing because it's on the SpeedGrapher MCP that I use to help me with tech writing. But the reflect prompt tells the LLM to think about the session we just had and propose improvements to the flow. And I use this to feed into most of the coding agents. They'll have an agents MD or a Gemini MD or a Cloud MD file that gives them some guidelines on how to behave for each particular project. And by using the reflect prompt, I say, think about what happened in this session, what were your mistakes, what could have gone better, and improve your own guidelines. So in the next session, we become better. And let's see, I'm not sure if we're going to get anything useful this time because I interrupted a lot. But this is just to give you an idea, like every time you see it, writing this prompt, this is such a chore. Like this is, oh my God, why are you going to write a prompt for that? No, I make the LLM write a prompt for itself. So this is, for example, learns from, and it usually comes good stuff. Sometimes no, it doesn't. But most of the time, learn to do documented API patterns. Self-initiated code reviews must be critical. Okay. Two-input validation should be explicit. So it's usually good stuff. And if you keep feeding back the model, like with your agents MD or Gemini MD or Cloud MD, back this kind of information, your flow will go only better with time. So in summary, we have 10 minutes left, but I want to open for questions if anyone wants to ask. But yeah, for successful vibe coding sessions, develop your prompting story writing skills. Remember, like the same way you should write your agile, like your Kanban stories. Prompts are very similar. The better you are at writing them, being more specific and telling the steps, the better results you get. Prioritize your tasks. You can, anything that's low priority or low business value, delegate to the async tool so you can multiply yourself. Actively manage your context window. We didn't see much context degradation in this session because it's also a very small session, but if you're doing some kind of serious work for 1 hour, you start to see some weird things. At this point, either I'll just /clear to clear the context, or sometimes you have a summarization process you can use as well. Oh, summarize this for me. Or this also is true for the managing of context on priming the model to use the things you want it to use, forcing it to read documentation, forcing it to call a tool, and so on. And the last point is the same point I wanted to make yesterday. Writing MCP server, you see, like this time I was successful. I had more time. We could go slowly. The model wrote itself, basically. So it's super easy to get it off the ground, and you can suddenly have like this. I like to have like several small servers, very specific. It's kind of like the Unix philosophy. You have several small things that would connect together to get very powerful. It's the same thing I'm doing with the MCPs. I have one for writing, one for coding, and I'm going to write many more for even random stuff to do my taxes. I don't know. You can think about it. You can go very wide about this. And it's super fun to write, super easy, and definitely helps when dealing with LLMs. That's what I had for today. Thanks a lot for spending this hour with me. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniela. OK, hands up for questions. Very nice.
We have someone there.
It's a very polite pause.
Hiya. Yeah, thanks for the talk. I was wondering, what do you think about any of the possible downsides of vibe coding, if it might replace engineers, or what your thoughts are in regards to that?
I'm sorry, I cannot hear. Can you just speak a bit louder?
Oh, sorry, is this better? Yeah.
Yes, much better. Thank you.
I was wondering what your thoughts were in regards to vibe coding and the future of engineers as well. Do you think we'll have a net positive, or it might have a net negative in the future?
That's a very interesting question. I love that question. The way I'm seeing it, yeah, it's hard. Like I'm not going to try to predict the future here, but I can tell you what I'm seeing is like, I think in the hands of a good engineer, it definitely makes a difference, makes you better. It doesn't necessarily make me better at doing the things I already know how to do it, but the things that I don't know how to do it, it definitely unlocked me to the next level. Like, for example, I don't like doing front-end. I never was a front-end person. And I had to write a blog because I joined as developer relations. I want to have a platform. And because I knew kind of the engineering concept, the fundamentals is the same. So if you have good, strong foundation, this kind of tool will unlock you to do amazing things. And I think for the new generation that's coming, like it's, I think it's very dangerous when people like, I don't know, certain CEOs come and say, oh, you do not learn how to code anymore. This is useless. LLMs will replace everyone, and we can go to the beach and I don't know. I don't think that's really what's going to happen. I think we're going to become slightly more high level, but in the same way we don't write assembly code by hand today, there will be circumstances where knowing a little bit of assembly will be useful. I don't know if usually in this kind of conference we have some. Jesus is here. Like he knows what I'm talking about. Like if you're going deep into the compiler, if you're going deeper into the runtime, yeah, maybe in the day-to-day you're not going to use, but if you have that tricky bug, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know what you're touching. If you need to know it's there. You need to know that there's CPU and memory, even if everything is in the cloud. So I think there's a lot of foundational knowledge that will not change, and this is important to learn. But how we work will change, and I think we will unlock things that we cannot do today. And also, I think we will have so much work to do in terms of, like, think about the last 60 years we have been writing software, and now we need to enable 6 decades of software to be AI oriented. So we have a lot of work to do. So I don't believe that the career is dying, like software engineering is dying, but it's definitely transforming. Transforming, yes. I don't know if I answered your question properly, but that are my thoughts.
Hi. In one of the slides, you mentioned you might incur a financial cost if something happened.
Oh.
Can you touch on that a bit more and just go over, as an engineer, if we want to play around with this stuff, what sort of costs would we incur if we're doing it ourselves and not through our companies?
Okay, I will speak in very general terms because I'm not from sales, so I don't do pricing, and I'm lucky enough that I have infinite model calls, so because I work at Google, so I don't need to worry about this that much, but it is a concern. I came from the industry not so long ago, and I'm seeing sometimes on forums or LinkedIn or Twitter or Reddit, you see those posts, oh yeah, I thought it was free, but then suddenly I have like a $500 bills of something. So you just need to be aware that this kind of model, they're charged, they have many different ways, and this is also a pain point for us. Like Gemini CLI has at least 7 different billing paths. You have some subscriptions, you can buy by token. You have certain things, so you just need to be aware of how billing works. But the thing I'm trying to alert you here is about fighting waste, in the sense that you know that the LLM is going to a path, is not going to recover. Those requests, if it's, like I say, for example, I tried SDK 1, didn't work. It will try, didn't work. Oh, I'll try SDK 2. Try, didn't work. Oh, I'll go back to 1. Imagine infinite loop. Even if the tokens are cached, some of them won't be. And you pay this kind of model, most of the times you pay by token and you pay by request. So that's a lot of waste. It's like wasting CPU cycles. So you just want to be aware of that to avoid this kind of situation, to make sure you use, make an efficient use of your budget. I'm not sure if I answered exactly your question, but that's kind of the angle I'm taking here.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes.
Okay, that was a really amazing talk. So on a more practical note, we've been starting to roll out some of these AI coding tools in our company, and something that we're encountering a lot is that junior developers will not necessarily understand what the output of the AI tool is, but because it works, they are going to make a PR anyway. So what we're seeing is that the velocity of code generation is getting a lot faster, but the velocity of code review mostly stays the same because humans, like mid to senior level engineers are still the ones who are actually reviewing this code. And, for basic things like, naming conventions, we have things like linters that can catch low-hanging fruit very easily. Like if junior developers are lazy and don't follow certain conventions in the code base, that's something that can immediately be identified, but it's a lot harder to identify when they've generated a bunch of spaghetti AI code that works, but just isn't good code. And, if it's crunch time, you kind of just approve PRs and things go through, and then eventually you hit a tipping point where the quality of code in your code base has gone significantly down. So I guess my question is just, how do you see this working in teams where certain people may not necessarily have the expertise or the willingness to use AI as a tool instead of a crutch? How do you see code review changing in the future to be able to accommodate and identify situations where, this kind of stuff happens?
No, I got a question. There's definitely a huge pain point there. But the way I see, this is not a new problem. It's just a problem that has been exploded with time because the crunch mode always existed, and you always have the pyramid. You have very few senior engineers for the large base. Usually, you're managing a lot of people. So I think for a team to work well, you cannot just have an accelerator. It's just like a car. You cannot have an accelerator and only an accelerator or only a brake. If you only have accelerator, you're going to crash. If you only have the brake, you're going to not go anywhere. But you need to have a balance of those two. So you need to have some kind of process that helps you. And usually the code review process is one of those things. But also this is not new to AI. We have been doing automation like linters, testing, some of those things to catch those flaws earlier. I think for me, having like a AI-assisted code review kind of helps level the game. You still, as a senior engineer, you still need to be reviewing the code, but if you use the AI to kind of triage and filter, you'll be also faster at code review, and also have good coding standards that sometimes you can even add as the context for your model that will force it to write better code from start instead of you having to correct it later. And that's why I'm playing with that prompt, like the import this prompt, is to, instead of me trying to fix it later, I want to try to generate better code from the get-go. So I think there's the two angles. And of course, if you're talking about new engineers, like junior engineers, there's a huge component of coaching. You can never ignore that. So I think as much as AI frees you from doing like so much like hands-on on the keyboard, I'm going to be coding. If that frees you a little bit of time that you can spend more with your junior engineers coaching them, that will be a huge win. So again, we need to work on the foundation. I don't think junior engineers will disappear. We need them, but also need to maybe taking even more care of them now than before.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's all the time we have. So a big round of applause for Daniela, everyone.
Thank you.